already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now, listen, man. You could tap in and you could tap out. But you know my slogan. You know what I suggest. And I suggest you tap in. So let's get right into it. Now, you already know time, energy, the highest forms of currency, my G. I know they got y'all out here chasing the bag, chasing that money and chasing that paper, stacking that cheese, that cheddar, and that mozzarella. But always keep it in the front of your mental Rolodex that time and energy are the highest forms of currency, my G's, at all times. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Now, big salute to all my day one investors, everybody that's highly invested in the channel. You know, everybody that understands that we are growing this channel organically, constant elevation. Yeah, we well over 50,000 subscribers, and we on our way to 60K. All right, even bigger salute to all my newcomers, all my new subscribers, all my new investors, everybody that's making their way to the Realest channel on YouTube. Yours truly, Grown Man Business TV, is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Now, do me a favor, man. Wipe off your feet before you step into the big house. You understand me? Wipe off your feet. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are ringing loud and clear every time you step foot in the Realest channel on YouTube. Yours truly, Grown Man Business TV, is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. You know how I'm giving it up, and you absolutely know how I'm putting it down, my G's, all right? Now, listen, man. I got a lot of people in the DM. Yo, Big G and BTV, what's your thought process on everything that's going on with Mike Huckabee and Tyler? What's the boy's name? Todd. Hold on real quick. Let me get this right real quick. Mike Huckabee and Tucker Carlson. All right. What's your perspective on everything that's going on with Mike Huckabee and Tucker Carlson? Yeah, you got to know something, man. You know, dog fur on dog fur violence. One thing for sure, two things for certain, absolutely nasty work. Anytime it's dog fur on dog fur violence, if you ask me, it's nasty work. You understand? And that's exactly what I believe I'm looking at with this Tucker Carlson and this Mike Huckabee. You know, yeah, Huckleberry, right? But it get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deeper than rap. You got to understand that. You know, when you see dog fur on dog fur violence, you got to know that it's a bigger picture. Oh, you got to know that it's smoke and mirrors. You got to know that it's something going on behind the closed curtains. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Now, again, excuse me, when it come down to the dog fur, I get discombobulated. I be forgetting I don't speak proper English. Tucker and Huckabee, I don't. You know, but we're going to do what we do best here. And we're going to have this conversation because, again, you know, Israel is on the chopping block. Them Ish people. Yeah, the Ish people is being questioned. All right? Oh, is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. In the same way, I'm going to talk about TIP and 50 Cent and what's going on in the hip-hop community. We're going to talk about them little hat people as well. The dog fur, yeah, you already know how I'm going to give it up and how I'm going to put it down when it's dog fur on dog fur violence. Appreciate that 5-piece nugget. Highly appreciate you guys. We're gonna have a conversation tonight. All right, now, Michael Huckabee and Tucker Carlson, they had a conversation recently. They had a really deep and very, you know, interesting conversation about Israel, about the, you know, God's chosen people, and what are those people that are in Israel, what are they doing over there? What is really going on? What is the real story? You understand me? And they kind of got into a debate about this. And one thing for sure, two things for certain. You know, I looked at this because I got a lot of DMs about it. And I said to myself, this didn't start off as a debate. This went left. We're living in a time of information, the time of exposure. And just like that, when you get to talking about what they was talking about, it went left. Okay? So you already know, man. We're going to get into this. We're going to crack the code on this situation. But before I give y'all this pure dope straight off the brick directly into the bottles, before I give y'all this dope right here and I put it right into the bottles, okay? we got to do some customizations to the chat. Yes, we got to do some customizations to the chat. The higher ups and the elites are playing chess at the highest level. They're always trying to muffle the message. The higher ups and the elites are trying to shadow ban this channel. You understand? The higher ups and the elites understand that Grown Man Business TV is an absolute threat to the establishment. And not only am I a threat to the establishment, but the revolution will be televised right here in these YouTube streets. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. Yeah, big salute to the chat. Let me customize this thing so we can get into it. You know, Tucker Carlson, he really pressed the line recently that I don't see a lot of our YouTubers and the urban content creators talking about. Everybody's talking about 50 Cent. We all talking about King, and we're talking about Damani and TIP, and yeah, we talking about battle rap, and there's nothing wrong with that. But these type of conversations has to be talked about. We have to also elaborate on these type of conversations, because I'm going to get deeper into this. But a lot of the times when it's dog fur on dog fur violence and these type of conversations are being had, us, the melanated people, we are in the back. They are talking around us, but at the same time talking about us. Oh, yeah. Anytime they get to talking about Israel, anytime they get to talking about God's chosen people, they are talking around us, but they are absolutely talking about us. And that's why we got to have this conversation. And yeah, we going to bait the algorithm. I know y'all, I know what they want from me. They want me to talk about Damani. Oh, Damani dropped a diss track on 50 Cent last night, and it's going viral. But the downloads downloaded, and the downloads said, yeah, you see that, right? Or they going to keep this thing going. And yeah, the Harris family, everybody going to eat off of this. We're going to be talking about 50 Cent, TIP, and the Harris family for the next 2 months. Oh, they going to drop diss track after diss track. And you got Tucker Carlson having a conversation with Mike Habibi. Yeah. Mikey Habibi. Let me do some customizations to the chat. Well over 100 in here. Y'all go ahead and hit the like button. We're going to have a conversation tonight. Oh, they don't want us to talk about this. But this right here is what make Grown Man Business TV channel so powerful. Oh, this right here is what make my channel so powerful, because I would talk about 50 Cent, then I turn right back around and talk about, yeah, the higher ups and elites. We ain't forgot about you. Your time's running out. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me do some customization. Yeah. Miss Lovelace, I see you in the chat. Charlie P. Yeah. Big wrenches. We not having no games being played when it's grown man business conversations going on. When grown folks is talking, take your little ass upstairs and you play the game. And y'all share those toys up there. Don't make too much noise. Don't make me come up there. Oh, yeah. Don't make me take off this belt. Yeah. All the babies need to go upstairs. We about to have a conversation amongst grown folk. Take your ass on up them stairs now. Don't make me come up there and to take this belt off. Because if I take this belt off, yeah, you already know it. Don't ask no questions. Don't even fight it. If I come up there and I got to take off this belt, everybody going to sleep. Everybody going to bed. We cutting the game off. Put the Ninja Turtles away. And everybody taking their ass to bed. So go upstairs, play nice, keep the noise levels down. Don't make me come up there and don't make me take this belt off. Yeah. Y'all remember when y'all people used to tell y'all that? Big salute to the chat. Yeah, we going to everybody going to bed. Now, you see that right there. You see that right there at the bottom of the chat, right there. Yeah, you see that. Before you get in here with your Twitter fingers, using your Twitter fingers to do all the Twittering and all in the comment section, using your Twitter fingers to do the extra Twittering and the extra comment and all with your Twitter fingers all in the comment section, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are ringing loud and clear every time you step foot in the Realest channel on YouTube. Yours truly, Grown Man Business TV, is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. All right. Now again, you know, Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee, okay, Huckabee, they had a very interesting conversation about Israel and genetics and getting DNA tests and things got a little tense. Dog fur on dog fur violence, it gets a little tense because most of the time when they are having very high level conversations, when they are really debating each other on certain topics, they are low-key talking about the melanated people. They are talking about the indigenous people of America. I want to be very specific about this. The majority of the time, they aren't talking about Jamaicans. They aren't talking about Haitians. They aren't having these conversations about even Africans. Behind closed doors, they know exactly who we are. They know exactly what we have done, and they know exactly what we represent when you go into that good book and when you get biblical on every level, it don't matter. When you go into that book, when you go into that word, they know who we are. We don't know who we are. Okay? The majority of my people, our people, don't really know how deep this go. Okay, so they had a conversation. They got to going back and forth. They got to debating. They got to doing what they like to do when it's dog fur on dog fur violence. And we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about that. But you already know one thing for sure and two things for certain. I got the receipts over here. I don't go nowhere without the receipts. I don't go nowhere without the receipts. And these conversations are becoming more prevalent because time is running out. Time is running out, and there is a underlying panic that's going on that we just ignore it. We like to look at YouTube and Instagram, and we like to see what the celebrities is doing. We like to engage with the distractions. We don't mind paying attention to the double cross because that means we ain't got to look at the triple cross. But when you understand and when you can see through the smoke and mirrors, they're panicking. Everything is being exposed. The lie, the veil has been dropped. The things that they controlled us with are losing power. They are being, it's no more influence. We are hearing the same lies and the same distractions, and we are understanding that this is some bullshit. Okay, so we're gonna get into some of these receipts. I want to let Mike Huckabee speak for a few minutes, and I want to say this before we get in and let Mike Huckabee talk. Right? Always remember, and I always say this: they sit that dog fur up on one of these cameras. They put a nice suit and tie on that dog fur, oh, and they talk like this. Oh, I don't understand what grown man business is. Why is he doing this? Why is he talking like this? Why? And for a long time, that shit right there, that get us right in the situation. It get us right in the pocket. You know what I mean? We get to believe in what, if you can dress with that suit on and you put that tie on and you brush that dog fur to the side and today on CNN, we are talking about terrorism. Oh, we believe that there is really terrorism. Oh, today on CNN, we don't know what's going on with the pandemic. There's a virus, an unknown virus. We don't know where it came from. We really believe y'all don't know where it came from. Okay? So I want you to listen, but I want you to use your ears and understand, okay, yeah. And then you will be able to hear the truth. The lies in the word semantics. You understand? When you can really get into that, it's obvious. Listen to what this man is saying. He got the motherfuckers is using. We gonna get into this. It's nasty work. Yeah, you got Jews and then you got the Jewish. Respectfully, I'm just trying to be respectful. You got the Jews and then you got the Jewish. Something like, not quite. Go ahead and talk to the people. Yeah, this is Mike Huckabee. His name is Huckabee. Talk to the people. Look.
Does Israel have a right to exist They also had wars in 1982 in Lebanon. They've had intifadas, 2 of those. They've had
Lebanon
war
again in 06.
2014.
I was there. No, I'm very familiar with the modern history of the state.
Okay.
Pretty familiar, I think. And I've been
But a
here.
Zionist simply means somebody who believes that Israel has a right to exist. Now, the question is, do you believe Israel has a right to exist?
I guess. I mean, I want Israel to exist. Well, no, but I want to know what that means. So, like, do other countries have a right to exist?
Well, they do exist.
Do they have a right to exist? You keep saying Israel has a right to exist, and I want to know what other countries
They have a
right.
legal right, because every international body in the last 100 years has said the Jewish people have a right
I understand
to their indigenous homeland.
But my question
so that's
is,
a legal right.
What
Do
other?
they have a biblical right? I would say that yes, but you may say they don't.
I don't know. I'm actually sincerely interested in finding out what you mean by a biblical right.
Okay,
so right there, right, and we gonna let them get deeper into this. I don't want to let my man's commentary get into that, but I want to start right there, right. They are speaking to the fact or to the notion that Jewish people in Israel has a right to be there. They have a right. And then he goes into a biblical right. Now, I don't want to, I'm not going to fluff this up. Caucasian people, European people have went all over the world and claimed a right to whatever land they feel they want. Whatever land. In this particular situation with Israel, they are using the Bible. They are using, the good book to stake claim to a land that they are not they are not from. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get deeper into this. And this is where it get nasty at when I tell y'all that the good book is the truth, but these people have poisoned it. That's why you got to cross-reference the good book. You can't just go in there and get the quoting shit and saying this and saying that. You get to do that if you can see through the smoke and mirrors, but you got to cross-reference it. It'll help you see through the smoke and mirrors. These people got dog fur. Listen to me. If you got dog fur, you have claim to the Caucasus Mountains. That's probably about it. Even Europe was ran by some Moors and all that. Like, it get deep when you realize that it was melanated people everywhere before y'all came about them Caucasus Mountains. So really, that's where y'all belong. And I need you to notice, right? When these people talk, they always say that they have a right to live somewhere peacefully. Because really, they don't have an indigenous land. They are not indigenous to any land. They are indigenous to those mountains, though, the Caucasus. But when it comes to like land and like, a different environment and different landscapes and terrains, right? They have no claim. So European will come to the Americans and say, we are looking for a better life. Now, mind you, we notice that all immigrants say this, but the original immigrants, all white people, Europeans, Spaniards, these are the original immigrants. These are the first ones to ever do this. Yeah. And they started this whole, we have a right to live in peace and harmony. And they go over to South America. Well, we have a right to live in peace. They go over to goddamn Australia, Russia, all these places where melanated people are indigenous. Australia, Russians, yeah, China, all these different areas. When you dig back into their history, it's melanated people that were there. The reason why the dog fur always seem to have this notion that they have the right to live in peace and harmony is because they don't have stake to any land. They don't stake any claim. So when they come into your land, they say, hey man, we just want to live over here in peace and harmony. And then when you let them live in peace and harmony, they get the taking, they get the pillaging, they get the murdering, they get the robbing, they get the stealing. That's exactly what's going on over there in Israel that nobody wants to talk about. But the deeper part about Israel is that they use the Bible. The descendants of Abraham are awarded that land, and they have now taken over the whole identity of the true descendants of Israel, and now they have taken over that land. So this is the only real difference. You know, every other land they invade, they steal, they pillage, they plunder, they murder. Genocide follows the dog fur. You understand me? But in Israel, they lean on biblical scripture. That's where it get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deeper than rap. That's one of the things and one of the real ways how they have infiltrated through that good book. Oh yeah. Oh, this is where it go. This is why I like to talk about these things. Because a lot of people will say, oh, that book is full of lies. No, it's a lot of truth. But there's also a lot of poison. Oh yeah, we gonna go a little further. Let's let this man talk a little bit more. We're gonna get into some more clips. I got a lot of receipts tonight. Big salute to everybody in the chat. What I want y'all to understand is that there is a spiritual war going on outside. It's spiritual. The spiritual war is more dangerous than the celebrity wars that we are looking at, than the celebrities, than Hollywood, than the Epstein files. All of these things are dangerous. Yeah, the Epstein files, nasty work. But you got to understand something. The only reason we have access to the Epstein files is to have us talk about those files and not focus on the spiritual warfare. We are at a point in American history where they have to go deep. They got to dig deep in them pockets. They got to give us something like the Epstein files, because the spiritual war is so intense that if they not locking up moguls, if they not doing the Diddy dance, if they ain't got Jay-Z on the chopping block, if they ain't got the Epstein files out, we will be looking directly at Israel. Y'all don't remember about 6 months ago, we was really talking about Israel? You know, the puppet master, you know, the Geppettos, the one that's pulling the strings in American government and politics. Israel, the ones that really run America. We was just talking about them. Now nobody's talking about them. Go ahead and talk to the people. And I'm going to say this. I don't really know a lot about Tucker Carlson. I see him around. I'm not sure if he's for the people or not. He got a lot of dog fur. He got that he got that croissant swirl on that dog fur right there. So I'm figuring he ain't really for the people, but, you know, he pressing the line. Yeah. Yeah, that croissant. He got, let me show you what I'm talking about. Look right there. Look at that croissant swirl on that dog fur right there. Look. Yeah. Yes, Tucker. I don't know I don't know where you go to, I don't know what hair cuttery you go to. But they put that croissant. Yeah, I get my croissants from Costco's. I get a big situation of croissants. And every croissant look like that swirl you got right there on top of that dog fur. And I seen that comment right there. White Europeans are to blame. I got receipts for that. Oh, I got the receipts that will explain everybody. See, you're going to pay for the sins of your ancestors. It's biblical. It ain't what I want for you. It's what the Most High is going to line up for you. Respectfully. So we're going to talk about that. I saw that in the chat. Respectfully, I see everything. Carlson, I like that. I like how you got that croissant going. I'm going to call that the croissant swirl. Yeah. That motherfucker got a croissant on that motherfucker. Talk to the people, Carlson. Look at that croissant right there.
That God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. Mm-hmm. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. what does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis.
Yeah.
You're saying that's the original deed.
Did you know a new...
All right, about to get into it now. About to get into it. They listen. They quote in scripture. Israel had, God's people. Those people have stake to that land. The Jews, not Jewish people. The Jews. Oh, it's coming. Oh yeah. I mean, y'all can't hide this shit. Why would you call yourself Jewish if you was the Jews that has, you know what? Explain yourself, Mike Huckabee. Talk to the people, Mike. Look.
Fine if they took it all.
It was a tough one. Now, look,
Israel have the right to that land because you're appealing to Genesis.
Yeah.
You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
It would be fine if they took it all. It's getting deep out here. It's getting deep, it's getting wicked, and it's always deep in the rapping. But this is what you got to understand, right? It wouldn't be fine if they took it all. They can't take it all because it's not their land. That dog fur don't thrive in that land. And we've been knowing this for a long time. But these people, these Zionists, have taken the word of God, manipulated it, poisoned it, and then regurgitated it back to the people. And actually used it for genocide. And, this is a small remnants of it, but I'm talking, Europeans, Spaniards, dog fur of all kinds have had their hands in the pot, and they get biblical. And again, like I said, I didn't write this. I didn't write. You know what? Let's let my man talk. I'm gonna let a couple of, content creators speak and really explain what this is to you. It get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deep in a rap. And see, we are again at a point of information. We are in a day of technology. It is not like the old days where you needed to be at church every day and you needed to be in the book every day and you needed to be a usher or a deacon or a pastor. The downloads are downloading to people that are not even looking for the downloads. You feel this, you feel what's going on. You just ain't in tune. It's a lot of people in my DM but they're asking me questions because they're being bombarded with downloads, but they're not in tune. I'm in tune, so I understand exactly what's going on. Let's get a little bit deeper into this. Big salute to the chat. Who are you? Who am I? Do your due diligence. Do your research. Oh yeah. You know what? Talk to the people, my man. Look!
Spiritual children. Religion is not a race, it's not a nationality, and it's not an ethnicity. Even if you called it an ethno-religious ethnicity, it's not a genetic ethnicity. When Jesus was here, there was no Israel. And he never talked about the return of a state of Israel because he cared about the kingdom of God, not the state of Israel. And if the kingdom of Israel is anything like the state of Israel today, I totally get why God allowed its enemies to destroy it. Even when God kicked out the Jews, he left himself a remnant of Abraham's descendants on the land, just like he did during the time of Elijah. And those descendants today are the ones who are indigenously and genetically connected to the land, like the Palestinians.
So are 13, where God told Abram that his descendants would be strangers in a land not their own, and they would afflict and oppress them for 400 years because of their disobedience to the law of Moses and to the statutes, judgments, and commands given by Moses when he said, choose life or death. So now that we have fulfilled the 400 years of slavery, God said, I would start the judgment on the nations that took you. Now, it said nation, which is kind of confusing because didn't multiple nations take us into slavery under the transatlantic slave trade? No, one nation did, the Roman Empire. That fourth beast that Daniel saw, and he spread out into multiple heads. So you have France, you have Britain, who before they were Protestant were Catholic. You have the Vatican. The Pope sanctioned the transatlantic slave trade. They told Portugal, they told Spain. All of these nations that came and got us were part of and are part of the Roman Empire. And in 2020, right on time, when God said I would judge the nations, right on time, he sends the first plague, which is the pandemic. So as Hebrews, descendants of Abraham, it is our job in the faith of Christ, led by the Holy Spirit, to let these nations know that the reason they are being judged is because of what their ancestors did. Now, the scripture says individuals will be saved. I am no longer judging the sins and following the sins to the fourth generation. Now, every man shall be responsible for their own salvation. So, through Christ, anyone individually can be saved, but you cannot stop the judgment on your nation. Same thing when we had Jeremiah and Ezekiel, Isaiah, as their nations were being judged. They were righteous before God. Therefore, they have a place and a throne and a seat. When we get to the land we're going to, when we see God return his people, we will see them. But the nation around them was being judged. And that.
Now, salute to that brother right there, but that's a powerful word in that book. You know, the children will reap the sins of the father. That's what's happening. So a lot of people in my DM like, yo, we didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't have this. Your ancestors didn't consider your life when they were doing what they was doing. They didn't consider the things you guys would have to pay for when they were doing what they was doing. And that's something I think everybody subconsciously understands. You know, you begin to have children and you think for your children and you say, I'm not going to do certain things because what if somebody takes that out on my children? So a lot of people, these are moral, this is integrity, this is morals that is being embedded that you don't even understand you are being embedded with. But what if your great grandfathers was raping and pillaging and they was cannibals, they was eating children, they was eating slaves, they was buck breaking men out there in the plantation, they was going up in the slave quarters and laying down with slave women and they was impregnating them? What if your ancestors was doing what all type of sin, all type of things for hundreds of years? You think that don't fall in your lap? That's why these nations are falling. That's why all of this stuff is happening around us and y'all feel like, oh, they're just talking about 50 Cent. Really, it's not that we only just talking about 50 Cent and celebrities or stuff like that, but we as a people are at the point where we understand this this is the Most High situation. Y'all are the only ones fighting against the Most High. Y'all are the only ones trying to become immortal, trying to create technology, trying to do all of these things to survive the karmic energy that's falling in your lap. Y'all are only ones that's doing this. You understand? And it's all in the book. When Daniel had that vision in the future, he saw exactly what's going on right now. When he said he saw a statue, he saw a robot. But back in those days, the word robot, it didn't exist. So he came back and he told his people, yo, I saw a statue. They gave that statue life. It came alive. Well, he didn't know that, that's AI. That's artificial technology, what we turn these machines on with. It's all in the book, my G. Skin made of bronze, hair like wool. You think this shit, even if the Roman Empire got their hands on this book, you think that they would describe anybody in that book with skin like bronze and hair like wool? You can't kill the truth. You can muffle the message. You could shadow ban the channel, but you could never kill the truth. You think King James would have put that in that book? Oh, skin like bronze and hair like wool. Whole time he pale in the goddamn, yeah. He pale as a goddamn snow. He pale in the ghost. He Casper. This motherfucker Casper the friendly ghost. And he got white dog fur. You think he would have his people put in that book something about feet like bronze and hair like wool? Nah. But you can't kill the truth. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. A lot of people in my DM, salute to my you know, my Caucasian counterparts. Yo, Grown Man Business TV. We didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't own any slaves, Grown Man Business TV. I don't understand why yeah, well, yo. If your uncle was a child molester, people gonna look at you and say, yo, you know your uncle, that's your uncle? You're not even gonna want to tell nobody that's your uncle. The things they're gonna say to you due to what your uncle was doing. So it don't take multiple generations. It don't go away. Your ancestors were cannibals. Just back in the 1950s, they was eating niggas. They was hanging black men and they was eating them. Just in the 1950s, and not that long ago. Your ancestors, your great-grandfather was feeding babies to the alligators. Your great-grandfather was graping women, graping children, hanging whole families from trees. Your great-grandfather was doing that. You think that go away? Nah, it don't work like that. And it's deeper than rap. We not gonna take vengeance on you. The Most High is gonna make you pay. Y'all already paying for it. Y'all don't feel that? Y'all don't, yeah, y'all feel that. That dog fur. Y'all know something ain't right. Y'all know something done changed. Y'all feel it in the atmosphere. The Most High is setting y'all up for the departure. Listen, I said it. I don't give a, it is what it is. The Most High is setting your ass up for the departure. It's getting too hot outside. The sun is blazing. Solar flares. Your skin can't take it. You don't know whether to go to Mars or to go back to the goddamn Caucasus Mountains. Yeah. Why you think Elon Musk is going so crazy? You don't know if you need to go to Mars or your ass need to go back in the inner earth. Whole time, this melanin is just glistening. I can't even help it. You know what I'm saying? I'm drinking my water and all that. The melanin is just, yeah, I got that motherfucking cocoa butter glow. Hey, you don't know how I did it. I can't help it. I can't help it, man. This motherfucking melanin just, yeah, this carbon. All this goddamn carbon up in this motherfucker. Talk to the people, my G. Look.
In Isaiah chapter 19, it describes the situation we're in. Read about what's happening in Deuteronomy 28. Read about what he promised would be the reason that they would go into slavery, which was because they committed spiritual adultery over and over again. Although they knew the true God, although they knew who he was personally, he dwelled with them, they chose to worship other gods. They chose to sacrifice their children into the fire. They chose to worship the stars and the Babylonian horoscopes. They chose to worship, they chose to pour out liquor to the dead. All these things, burning incense in the high places of Jerusalem, all through the land of Israel. Read about the reasons. What I love about Scripture and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our soon coming King Jesus Christ, is he explains why we are here. No other God put in writing why we are here. Now, the lie is they taught us that scripture was about Europeans. They taught us that scripture was about some other people. Now, I'm not saying who it's not about. I'm saying who it is about. If some of you builders, you are empire builders, you are land builders, you are people of renowned, you are ancient Egyptian. If you look at the scriptures and you look at your paternal Y chromosome DNA, you'll find out your family, your paternal line, or even your maternal line comes from the land now known as Sudan, which was formerly encompassed by Egypt. That was Egyptian territory. And that's why that land lays desolate today, because God said until the people come back, the lands will be desolate. That's why he said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, then I will hear from heaven. Then I will forgive their sins, and then I will heal their land. No one else's land needs healing but ours. And the lands we are in, unless you are an indigenous American by DNA, get your DNA test and it'll show if you are originally from here. If not, then you migrated here. Your forefathers or mothers migrated here, which means this is not your land. And when you look at where your true land is, chances are it's desolate today.
Now, that's the beautiful thing about I guess the word and just being able to see through the smoke and mirrors, right? You know, your perspective's gonna vary, right? And I agree what he said. You know, when you look at our people, hold on real quick, but big salute to the chat. Let me see something. Let me make sure I got everything right, man. We had the big house. Yeah, y'all already in here. Don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? Give me 2 seconds. Let me handle some business. I get money. I can't help it. I do it for myself, baby. I can't help it. You can have whatever you like. I said you can have whatever you like. Yeah, stacks on deck, patrol all night, and we can pop bottles all night, baby. You can have whatever you like. Yeah. Shorty, you the finest, love the way you grind it. Ain't so good, I wanna swore you went to college. Money can't deposit, vacations in the tropics. Everybody know it ain't tricking if you got it. You ain't never ever got to go with your body. Long as I got rubber band banks in my pocket. Rising, topping. Biz with a bike, you ain't got to downgrade. You can get what I get. I make her have what she want. Go ahead and show my everything she want. We ain't never had a nigga like that. To buy anything your heart desire like that. Yeah. I want your body, need your body. As long as you got me, you won't need nobody. You want it, I got it, go get it, I buy it. You can't sing in your house that loud. Your old lady kick your ass out. Yeah. Try to do that in your house and see if your old lady don't kick your ass up out the house. All right, let's get back to this. Big salute to the chat. So, what I was saying was, I respect what homie's saying because it is the word, right? And we are gonna have certain perspectives on the situation, but it's the truth. And when you look at what's going on within our culture, you see how far we have strayed away from the word, how far we have strayed away from seeking the face of the Most High. And it says it right there in Deuteronomy. It says it in the book. You know, y'all will be cursed for however many years because y'all will stray away from the word. Y'all are not seeking the face of the Most High. But when ye seek the face of the Most High, I will hear. You know what I'm saying? You will, and this is all written already. That's the beautiful thing for me. That's one of the things that always give me comfort. Understanding that regardless of how you want to take it, regardless of what you want to do with it, it's already been written. You understand what I'm saying? So again, Egypt, in those days, that word wasn't a word. It was more like Kemet. You understand? So when you look at the old maps, and salute to Charlie P, I saw that in the chat. When you look at a lot of the old maps, the Titarian, yeah, ooh, when you look into them old maps, what you'll realize is the word Egypt was here in the Americas. Yeah. Israel, that wasn't even a place. Egypt was over here in the Americas. Kemet was over there. Somehow they switched it in and switched it out and, moved this here and moved this there. And then when we get our hands on it, we don't know. But then when we start to doing our due diligence and going back into the, yeah, and you say, oh, shit, it was. You feel what I'm saying? So they have been using the truth and weaponizing it against us. And that's how far these people will go. That's how far, that's how deep it gets when it comes to the control, when it comes to actually taking over. Oh, how did they take over your land? It's deeper than warfare. It's mental warfare. Okay? And again, yes, man, that is a, I want to speak to this. I seen something in the chat, and somebody says, how can you be held accountable for the sins of your aunt? This is something that they switched out. This is something that they switched out as well. This is a truth that they poisoned. When they made you think, right? When they made you think that you could do whatever you want to do, and all you got to do is repent, get on and ask for forgiveness, and you get forgiven. See, when you read the book, and it took me a long time, but that's why the download, and I deliver the downloads. I don't fight the downloads, but we are no different. I'm just in tune. For a long time, I felt the same way, man. The book, man, that shit is poison. They lied. The King James, who was there, and it took years, and it took maturity, and it took a certain level of elevation for me to realize that until you actually read the word and get into the book, you will not really be able to decipher the lies. So for a long time, I believed that. Oh, all you have to do is repent. All you have to do is just say sorry. But then when you read that book, what you realize is, why was all those people being eliminated if all you had to do is say, I'm sorry? The people that was riding with Moses, when the Most High started knocking their asses off over there in Egypt, Kemet, when the Pharaoh wouldn't let those people go, and then the Most High said, you know what, I'm here, we about to start killing shit. Why didn't he? Because once you get knee deep and once you go too far into sin, I'm telling you, ain't no turning back. I told y'all before. You can't go in the streets and get off the porch and get to killing motherfuckers and doing all type of wild stuff and then want to be a family man, like the energy ain't gonna come back, like the Reaper not gonna come get you and your children, possibly. Oh, you jump off the porch, you get to drilling, you're shooting, you're robbing, you're killing. And then when you turn 35, now you want to be a businessman and you want to be a family man, and you feel like you could go to the park or you could go to Walmart with your homies. And then when they run down on you, blam you down in the parking lot, now all of a sudden it don't work like that. But see, again, until you read the word, understand it, and can see through the smoke and mirrors, you won't understand that. So why would we have to? Because that's how it go down. That's how it goes down in the Bible. You will realize and you'll start to see, if you get into it, the Most High was knocking shit down respectfully. I'm just, you get to going too far this way or you get to going too far that way and y'all get smoked. He smoked. So if it's that easy, and again, I remember when I was young, I used to watch like, You know, I used to watch a lot of NSBC, right? NSBC, it was channel 23 when I was in Virginia. And it would have like a lot of jail stories and how to catch a predator, et cetera, right? And I remember seeing these white guys. They were like guys that were on death row. They had like great women and, you know, eliminated children. And then when they went into the death row, they became Christians and they had Bibles. And they were saying that, you know, it don't matter what I did, that God forgives me. And I'm saying to myself, so you could rob, kill, you could rape women, you could delete children, and all you got to do is repent and God will forgive that. Never set right with me, never made sense. And only until I got in tune and I really understood that, I got to pick this book up. Even if I think it's a lie, I got to find the truth. When I realized that was a lie. That's a lie, my G. You don't get to do whatever you want to do down here and then, you know, say, you know, God, forgive me for my sins. And then you just get to walk into heaven. That's what the dog fur told us, because the dog fur was doing so much vile, just heinous, you know, disgusting stuff down here that they had to make everybody believe, oh, you could feed that baby to an alligator and then you just ask for forgiveness and Christ will forgive you. Ah, you can hang that family from a tree, and if we find out that they didn't do it and they were innocent, all we have to do is just ask Christ for forgiveness and blah, blah, voila. I've been going in them slave quarters, knocking her back out for the last 18 years. Christ forgive me. That's a lie. So when you ask questions like, yo, yeah, hell fucking yeah, your ancestors was diabolical. They did so much damage. They did so much nasty stuff that they couldn't even live long enough to reap the karmatic energy from their sins. Do you understand this? You could get so knee deep in sin that you don't even have enough years of life to reap the karmatic energy of the things that you've been doing for the last 40 years. That means your children gonna get that. That means your grandchildren probably gonna get some of that. So when you get aware and you get smart and you get wise, what you realize, there is a certain point in your life where you need to straighten up. You need to stop doing whatever you doing, whatever you into. You need to start, and then you need to start repenting year after year, over and over, until you get that out of there. You got to go when you sin, my G, when you do dirt to people, it takes years. It takes years, bro, for you to get that karmatic energy and pay it forward and even out with the universe. It takes years. So the more you keep going and the more you pile on, man, you will be 80 years old, man. And if you don't live to 80, your kids will get that 20. Yeah, you die at 60, your kids will get that. And I needed to say that because I saw that in the chat. And again, it's a lot of people in my DM that don't understand that. Oh, why would we have to pay? Because you're the descendants. The same way Carlson and Malachi or whatever his name was, how they were talking about the descendants of Abraham and the descendants of Shem and the descendants of these people in that book. Their descendants are reaping the good or the bad of their ancestors. If they got one of them ancestors in that book that was honorable and did right by God, then, you know, the Most High was blessing them with land, blessing them with the promised land. You understand? Why would you get the promised land if my ancestors? Because your ancestors put that work in, and now you get to reap the benefits. Your ancestors were slaves in Egypt, and the Pharaoh had them slaving, and God freed them. The Most High freed your ancestors. And when they got to the promised land, they were scared. So they had to wander around for 40 years. And now, 2 or 3 generations later, Joshua, now it's time for you to go into the promised land. Joshua didn't ask the question, why are we reaping the benefits because they were good benefits. Only when your ancestors was devils do you now try to get out of reaping the benefits of your ancestors. Only when your ancestors was diabolical dog fur from the Caucasus of the mountains. Now you in my DM and you asking me, why would we? Yeah, this is how the game go. I got daughters. You think I'm out here doing women dirty? You think I'm out here, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I got women, I got daughters. So my karmatic energy is going to fall onto my daughters. So I'm not out here running through women. I'm not out here disrespecting women. I'm not out here misleading women. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The Israelites, yeah, it's not even the Jews, it's the Israelites for sure. You know what I'm saying? 12 tribes of Judah, it get deep. But a lot of people feel like, and what I believe is we are on the land. We ain't gonna have to go back to Israel or whatever the fuck these people done lined up. It's a reason why we were brought here. Oh yeah, it's a reason why we right here on American soil. Oh, they need to go back to Israel. Israel is their land. Fuck out of here. It wasn't even called Israel. Shit wasn't even called. You motherfuckers done made up. Yeah, get your ass out of here. All we gotta do is do whatever is being done. We don't need to listen to nobody. It's a reason why the Most High put us right here where we at. I know. Let me get back into some of this. Let me see what else I got. I'm not staying long. I want y'all to listen, because when I say y'all gonna reap the benefits in the karmic energy of your ancestors, it's happening as a nation. But individually, if y'all choose as an individual to recognize and acknowledge what it is, you got a chance of skipping that. You got a chance of fixing that. But as a nation, y'all can't stop that. Y'all gonna be punished as a nation. But individuals, and I want to point out, and I want to give some light to this dog fur having young older lady right here, because she's stepping into the individual. She's stepping into cleansing her karmatic energy as an individual. And I want to show y'all kind of how it works. Go ahead and talk to the people, young lady. Go ahead, speak. Look!
But this might hurt some feelings, but guess what? The Black people living in the Americas are the chosen people of God. Shalom. My name is Ronette Brooks, and before I get started, I want to say all praises to the Most High. I am a Gentile, and it is very important because I know that Israelites that are in the truth and know who they are going to be hearing my voice. This is not about me, but I do want you to know enough about me that you can know a small piece of my heart. I have known who so-called African Americans are in the United States since 2019. The Most High allowed me to know that they were the tribe of Judah. I've learned since then that it might be some Benjamites in there and some Levites, but all I want to say is I am here with a humble heart, and I am infinitely in awe because I know that I'm speaking to the light of the world. And I believe all this stuff, and I've believed it since 2019. So I want to talk about two ways that we describe Blacks in this country. And I also want to say to the Israelites, I'm going to use your book. I'm not going to teach your book, but I'm going to use your book just to talk about identity. I love the word.
Whew, now I'm gonna let her speak again, but I see that scales under the fur for sure. But what you got to understand is this: the word is powerful, and even and again, it says that individuals will be able to wake up of the dog fur. It will be individuals within the dog fur nation that will be able to see clearly, and speaking out like that. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to be truthful with yourself. You got to believe it, and then you got to speak it out. You got to say it. You got to expose it to your people. That's probably back in the day they would have crucified your ass. But you got to put your life on the line. You got to say it out loud. I know who they are. And one of the things that stood out to me, right, with this receipt right here, is that she says she has known it since 2019. The years of awakening, the years of the downloads. I mean, about 2019, 18, 19 to now, right, to present day, the downloads have been downloading for a lot of people. She's just one of the ones that's not fighting it. She's not one of the ones that's saying, why would I be thinking like this? What is that? No, this can't be right. She's not one of the ones that still believe y'all are in power or y'all are in control. We all know Israel got a hold of this. So all of your dog fur counterparts, y'all ain't over here doing nothing that Israel ain't letting y'all do. So if you being honest with yourself, you saying, well, who are these black people? The African Americans? They don't fucking look like Africans. Why would... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And see, I want to give y'all another example because I like when the young lady, she's an older lady, but I like when she spoke like that, right? But this is what I need you to understand. Back in the day when you gave that game up like that, right? They eliminated you. They smoked you. They put you here. They Kennedy'd you. John F. Kennedy. Yeah, blow your goddamn toupee all over everywhere. Turn your top to a toupee. The way they hit Kennedy, I don't know if he had a toupee on or if they just turned this shit to a toupee. But when you know the truth, you gotta expose it. Let's listen to the homie. Let's listen to the, you know what? I just spoke about Kennedy, R.I.P. to Kennedy. Talk to the people, Kennedy. Look!
A home of people that look like us.
Before this nation was named, indigenous black peoples lived, built, and governed here. The great world's fairs were remnants of their cities. Across this nation once stood many centers of black commerce, not one Wall Street, but many. These communities were connected by trade, by innovation, by grand world fairs. They represented an older world still alive, and that continuity frightened those who sought control. So those centers were dismantled, their prosperity erased by the very forces that later claimed to civilize this nation.
If you're over 40 and avoid...
The word American describes the people of the copper-colored race. Its original heirs, the original nobility of this country, are the so-called Black American. They are heirs to history's old... The great world's fairs were remnants of their cities. Across this nation once stood many centers of black commerce, not one Wall Street, but many. These communities were connected by trade, by innovation, by grand world fairs. They represented an older world still alive, and that continuity frightened those who sought control. So those centers were dismantled, their prosperity erased by the very forces that later claimed to civilize this nation. The word American describes the people of the copper-colored race. Its original heirs, the original nobility of this country, are the so-called Black American. They are heirs to history's old...
That is how I...
Yeah, man. Yes. So, again, right? When I listen to Tucker Carlson, and I'm gonna play a receipt from Tucker, man, because I really want to give them some shine on this. But the thing is, I always go left because I understand exactly why this conversation is being had. So when it's dog for violence, when these guys are arguing with each other, right? I already understand what it's about. So I don't even like to listen to the majority of what they're talking about. Oh, so what are you saying? And this, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, the Jews that are blah, and the Jews get to do this, and blah, and the Jewish people in Israel, and blah, blah, blah. And it's so much deeper than that. everything will lead back to us, the copper-colored people of the Americas. Oh, those were stolen people and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they stole our land. They came over here and, you know, it happened like that. The way they want y'all to see it is like, you know, they were stolen from Africa and they were stolen from their land, but that's all a facade. That's all a trick. That's word semantics. Oh, we got it in there. We got them to believe that, you know, they were stolen from their land. So, you know, let's put them on slave ships and we got the whole slave trade. Yeah, that shit really happened, but not how they said it happened. Not how they said it happened. Yo, Egypt, don't worry. It was called Kemet. We're going to call that Egypt. There are pyramids over there. We're going to call that Egypt. And but the Egypt was already over here. Oh, we're going to keep them out of the Grand Canyon. Let's make sure that they don't go to the Grand Canyon. The pyramids in St. Louis and the pyramids in Tennessee out there in Memphis, we're going to keep those mounds covered up. The biggest pyramid in the world for right now is in South America. We're going to, the Olmec people, those were Indians. Those weren't copper-colored people. We're going to make those people, go ahead and fly those people out from Siberia, and we're going to mix breed these Siberians and come on, son. Come on. When I was young, you couldn't make me believe those Indians were Siberian. I would have been like, nigga, you talking about like a Siberian tiger? You talking about like you talking about like the saber tooth and all that? Nah. The age of information lets us know those Indians is Siberians mixed with some people. And then, like, you know, Pocahontas, you ever seen the real Pocahontas? You ever like seen a real story of the real Pocahontas? She blacker than Sexy Red. The real Pocahontas looked like Sexy Red. I seen her pictures. Yeah, the bitch didn't look like the Disney film to me. She wasn't that pretty. Bitch was all right. White man came through here, got this mingling, and you know what I'm saying? They didn't fall in love. The dog fur was graping and yeah. The dog fur took Pocahontas and got to graping and assaulting and all of that. She wasn't with it, and she was black. She looked just like Sexy Red. The reason why I'm gonna let this dog first speak, I want to let her speak again, and I really like how she spoke. And see, this is the thing, what you got to understand. You need to humble yourself. You need to bring yourself down from that dog fur ladder. And when you speak to us and you acknowledge us, you need to acknowledge us. We had a whole Tatari that wasn't living in tents. They got y'all thinking these motherfucking Indians. You motherfucker, why was they living in tents when we had a whole goddamn nation? A world fair. We had the World's Fair. All over the Americas, we had the World's Fair. Where did the tents come from? Because y'all wasn't over here. Why was y'all doing all that wild shit? Because y'all didn't know how to goddamn farm the land. Go ahead and talk to the people, man. Look.
Feelings, but guess what? The black people living in the Americas are the chosen people of God. Shalom. My name is Ronette Brooks, and before I get started, I want to say all praises to the Most High. I am a Gentile, and it is very important because I know that Israelites that are in the truth and know who they are going to be hearing my voice. This is not about me, but I do want you to know enough about me that you can know a small piece of my heart. I have known who so-called African Americans are in the United States since 2019. The Most High allowed me to know that they were the tribe of Judah. I've learned since then that it might be some Benjamites in there and some Levites, but all I want to say is I am here with a humble heart, and I am infinitely in awe because I know that I'm speaking to the light of the world. And I believe all this stuff, and I've believed it since 2019. So I want to talk about two ways that we describe blacks in this country. And I also want to say to the Israelites, I'm going to use your book. I'm not going to teach your book, but I'm going to use your book just to talk about identity. I love the word.
Many people don't want to acknowledge that the black community are the chosen people because let's get deep into this. Because in reality, they have the knowledge that most people don't have. Like, the only reason why people know how to farm is because of the black community. The only reason why we have the music that we have today is because of the black community. There wouldn't be no rock or metal if it wasn't for blues and jazz. There wouldn't be pop music if it wasn't for disco. There's a lot of things that they created that white people never did. White people really don't have that deep of knowledge. It's either stolen ideas or they're bought. Let's be real. What did white people really invent? You could say Tesla from Elon Musk, but he didn't make that. It was a stolen idea. If you go read what he did, he literally stole the whole business. You could say Trump, but what did Trump do? Stolen ideas, copied somebody else's ideas, just like his speeches. It's like a lot of white people just copy people. I mean, look at the dances on here. Who created those dances? The black community. And that's why this app's so boring right now, because it's not because all this stuff that's going on and the negativity. The black community literally just took their energy away. That's why this app was positive, because a lot of the white people were copying their dance move, copying this, copying that, and they stopped doing it, stopped posting on here, because none of you will give them the credit or the acknowledgement that they created that dance move or that idea. Before this land was taken, white people had no clue what the fuck to do. They were taught their language, they were taught how to farm, they were taught how to season their food that they still don't know how to do. That's another thing, seasoning. All their favorite foods, barbecuing. You love the barbecue, right? That was the black community's idea. This is why they are chosen. They have the knowledge that most people don't have.
Why are you?
Woo. Now that was powerful. Appreciate that 10-piece nugget. Highly appreciate that 10-piece nugget. I want to say this, right? I want to just throw this out there. What you got to understand, right? Just because the dog fur was so diabolical, right? That doesn't mean, hold on real quick. Let me just make sure I got this right, because I don't want to have no problems with this. Hold on. That doesn't mean, right, that we were supposed to follow in y'all footsteps, right? So it's people like him and this older woman in these receipts that would have probably been living amongst us. When we had Utica Village out there in New York City, that is now Central Park, there were Caucasian or Russian, whatever. They were dog fur having people that we allowed to live amongst us. You understand what I'm saying? We allowed them to live amongst us. You feel me? And you know, it's a brother out there that's going to have a baby with him, and they might have a little mixed baby with, you know what I'm saying, some curly hair and all that, and then the baby might go black, and then the baby. So it was nothing that was going to take over our situation, but we always had people like this amongst us. So I never say all. I always want to reiterate that it's not all white people. It ain't all black people. It ain't all nothing. It's never all. It's always a small exception. And when you listen to that white lady talk, how humble she is, how could you violate her? As a man with this melanin, you understand that regardless of what her aunt, like, you can't violate that old lady. You got, you know what I'm saying? And she just want to learn more. And she's knowledgeable. And she respect and she know who she's telling. She said, I just can't believe I'm talking to the light of the world. When they know who we are, you got to let them be. You got to let them live. When they recognize that they ancestors stole everything, when they admit it and they stand on it, you got to let them breathe, homie. It's a black woman that I love to lay, you know, to do her thing with that dog fur right there. You let them live. They not here. They steal all the knowledge is stolen. And I want to use that because he said that, but I want to use that to go into this next angle for a lot of people that, again, that always talk about Africa and the slave trade, X, Y, and Z. You know, it's a reason why y'all did not know how to farm this land over here in the Americas. It's a reason why to this day, to right now, the farms are dying out. The farms are dying. Y'all were never the farmers of this land because this ain't y'all land. But you know who was over here farming the land? The Negro farmers. The Negro farmers had all the farms before Caucasian people came over here, used eminent domain and other illegal tactics through the government to take the farms away from the Negro farmer. That's why all the food is fucked up. That's why it's poison in all the food. That's why they using pesticides on all the fruit and all the vegetables. That's why your ass getting cancer every 2 seconds, because instead of them just saying, we don't know how to do this properly, they just poisoning all the food with pesticides and shit. Instead of them just admitting, we don't know how to keep these crops safe from the insects, the groundhogs, etc. They just pour chemicals all over this shit and then feed it to you. Not only you, but they own kids, they own women, their own babies. This is how diabolical it is when you not awoke or you not aware, like these two words right here, these two dog fur having people, how aware they are. When you are not aware, you are so diabolical, you will poison your own people trying to poison us. Oh yeah. They don't like when I talk like this, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care, homie. Now let's get deeper into that. Let's get deeper into this. This is where I get a lot of people at when they talk about the African slaves and all that. So you mean to tell me the dog fur didn't even know how to crop this land or farm this land, but they started bringing in Africans from Africa that never been to this land, and they came over here and got the cropping and farming? That ain't how it would work. Those Africans that did make it to the Americas, the small percentage, they couldn't crop this land. They never seen it before. They never seen these vegetables and these plants and these animals that are indigenous to the American soil. They were over there in goddamn Africa with, yeah, monkeys all over it. Yeah. Monkeys and zebras and shit running. We ain't got zebras running around this motherfucker. Not naturally. We got bison. Oh yeah, we got all type of other animals over here. So there is absolutely no way you could bring boatloads of Africans to America and tell them, go out there and crop that land. Yeah, sell them on the chopping block. Take these Africans and crop the land. When they ain't never seen tobacco in their life. Nigga, they from Africa. How about this? Let's gather up 100 niggas from America that never been to Africa. Take them over there to Africa, release them, and say, crop the lands, nigga. Yeah, go out there and grow fruit and tobacco and cotton over here. Goddamn Nigeria. We ain't never seen the Nigerian soil. We don't know the animals that's in Nigeria. We don't know the insect. We don't know nothing. Nigga, we from America. But you mean to tell, you trying to tell me some Africans came, no, it was niggas over here. We was all, this is our land. The only reason why Christopher Columbus was even able to make it through the winter is because some niggas showed him how to do this, son. Some black men, some niggas, some indigenous black men in America say, goddamn, they dying over there. Let's, you know what? Listen, man, this is how you do this. You know, you get some corn, it's going to crop this season, and You know, when y'all get y'all little corn, we gonna come over here. We gonna celebrate with y'all. Give them some more seeds and all that. Me talking like this opened up the atmosphere, the whole hemisphere. I'm just pouring down raining. It's thundering all of a sudden when I get to talking like this. Yeah. I keep telling the ancestors, man. They speak through me. They download through me. Nigga, I'm not lying about this. I didn't do this for YouTube. This ain't scripted. Oh, we got a boat full of Africans. Where are they from? They're from the St. Johannesburg. We got these Africans from St. Johannesburg. Take them off. Yo, send them off there to the fields in Virginia and tell those Africans to crop the tobacco and cut the cotton down. Niggas ain't never seen tobacco, cotton, nothing. Again, when you realize who we are, either you choose to respect it or you choose to continue lying to yourself. And there will be that's between you and the Most High. That ain't really up to us to give y'all the game or convict y'all or it ain't we can't judge y'all for whatever y'all are doing was meant to be done. Whatever y'all are doing is meant to be done. It was written already. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nigga. It was Africans that came. You niggas, you think I could go to Africa and get the crop and land over? You know how long it would take for me to learn how to, you know how many seasons I would have to go through? Winter, summer, spring, fall. You know how many times I would have to see that before I would really get the hang of just growing crop and, you know what I'm saying, doing it at the right time and bringing back a good crop of food to feed that ain't how it worked. We was already over it. All of the farms you see, all of these white people with these farms, if you go back just 2 or 3 generations, you'll figure out where they stole it from. Assalamu alaikum, assalaikum shalom, nigga. Yeah, assalamu alaikum, alaikum shalom. 2 generations. Go back to it. All we got to do is look back at their grandfather, great-grandfather. And what you'll figure out is they stole it for some niggas. Oh, I got 250 acres worth of land. I got 400 acres of farmland. Yeah. The meek will inherit the earth, my G. The first will become last. And the reason why we went through these 400 years of it's in that book, man. When the Most High told them people, I will allow your enemies to enslave you and tax you because you have turned your back on the Most High. When Moses got them people to the promised land and, they had to wander and, the Most High told Moses, you're not going in there, but your ancestors will go in there because I promised y'all that land. And then, Joshua went in there. One of my favorite books, Joshua. And he listened to the Most High, and the Most High told Joshua what to do and when to go to war and how to go to war. And Joshua did everything he was supposed to do until he passed away. And when Joshua passed away, for the next 15 to 20 to 50 years, right? Those people, our people, turned their back on God. They partied. They didn't pray. They turned their back on the Most High. The Most High told them, don't befriend the neighbors of this land. What they do, they start befriending the neighbors of this promised land. They started having babies with the neighbors of this promised land. They started saving and enslaving and helping the neighbors of this promised land when the Most High told them, don't rock with nobody outside of this land. And then somewhere down the line, a Messiah is born, and the Most High touches this young man, and he tells him, you're going to be the next savior. And this young man is grown and raised up. And then he comes out and he begins to lead his people into battle, into war. And he does that righteously until he passes away. And then when he passes away, what happens? We go right back into turning our back. We go right back into partying. We go right back into doing drugs. We go right back into war. We go right back into everything. But, and I'm going to tell you, you don't see that pattern in our people? How we get a Martin Luther King. He's raised up. He begins to lead the people. And then he's assassinated. And when Martin Luther King is assassinated, the people get to going crazy. They get to going back into the ghetto. They get to doing everything except what Martin Luther King was preaching. Malcolm X, raised up. He get to leading the people by any means necessary. We'll go to war. We're going to go to the United Nations. And then he's assassinated. He dies. And then those same very people that was walking in the footsteps was walking. Now they all just array. They federal informants. They working for the government. They snitching. They selling drugs. They selling wolf pussy. You got prostitutes. You got these people is in a disarray. All of a sudden we got Tupac Shakur, young Tupac, New York City, Maryland. Goes out there to the Bay, he's raised up. He gets to lead the people. Over and over and over again, this same pattern that is in the good book, our people is going through over and over again. And ain't nobody connected the dots. Ain't nobody can see through the smoke and mirrors. Tupac is assassinated. People go from dear mama to now it's back to fuck these hoes. These bitches ain't shit. Fuck them. Get them down. Do it dirty. What we gonna do? Everybody smoking and weed and we drunken and driving. Tupac was saying thug life. We gonna do it this day. We gonna unite the thugs of America and we gonna go to war. Tupac assassinated. Now we just got thugs and we got bloods and we got Crips and we got killing. Okay. We go through years. Because the next Messiah has to be recognized. He has to be conceived. He has to be born. He has to be raised into his position. Nipsey Hussle, he had to be recognized. He had to be conceived. He had to be born. And then he had to be raised into his position. We was looking at the last, we was looking at him right there, Nip Hussle. If you believe it or not, he began to lead the people into real estate, into cryptocurrency, into, opportunity zones, into entrepreneurship, into ownership. He's assassinated. And now we got all these motherfuckers. Yeah, we got Lil Yachty. We got Pop Smoke, Fabio Foreign. We got Young Thug. We got Lil Baby. We got all this bullshit. And we got to go through years and years of this bullshit until another Messiah is recognized, conceived, born, and raised. Oh yeah, they don't like when I talk to y'all like this. It is what it is. It'll be what it's going to be. What I want y'all to understand is that we might not have to wait for another Messiah. When the chips fall, you might just be looking directly in the eyes of one. Hoover lied to you. He lied. See that J. Agger, he lied. Oh, the next Messiah will be something that we created. That was a lie, nigga. It's only the dog fur who think they could create a Messiah. It's only the dog fur who think they can go against Mother Nature. It's only the dog fur that think that they are bigger than the program. You could never create a Messiah. You could never do that. Somebody was supposed to be courageous enough to tell him right in his face with that dog fur smelling like a goddamn sheepdog. Creator, how could you do that? You think you could, you think you got the power to do that? That's why y'all gonna fall. That's why y'all in the position y'all in, because y'all thought y'all could take that word, apply it to yourself, and play like you the most high. You could never be. You smell like a fucking animal. You could never be that. We're gonna create the next Messiah will be something. Get your silly ass out of here, man. Go get your goddamn. Hey man, somebody get this man some lice medicine, man. Squirt some of that lice medicine. Yeah, you got all kind of lice in that dog fur swimming around and all that. This happened over and over again in the Bible. I remember I read it. I watched videos on it. They're talking about us. It was inevitable that this was supposed to happen. There was no way around it. The beautiful thing is we are living in a day and age where we have reached the end of those 400 to however many years. We have reached the end. We are watching the debacle. We are watching the end. What that means is the meek is going to inherit the earth while we are here. The first will become the last, and the last will become the first in our lifetime. Oh yeah. Big salute to the chat, man. What time is this? 8 o'clock. You know, with this situation, with this live stream, I might have to bait the algorithm tonight. I might just do that. It get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deeper than rap. And I understand what I'm dealing with. You know, Israel, you know, hold on. Do I got another receipt from my man? Let me see if I can let me see something. Big salute to the chat. I had a receipt where my man was talking. He was talking to them people, and I want to see if I can find it. Matter of fact, let's let this go. Big salute to the chat. I'm gonna let this one go.
Seeding 2.0 is coming to Harvest.
But what I've asked you guys not to do is, if you're not going to accept it and do the research yourself, please don't hinder somebody else from figuring it out. What we don't realize as Black America is, once we get past all of these roadblocks, we'll start to see that America owes us more than what they can repay us. And the only reason they haven't paid us back is because we haven't figured it out.
People have extra copper in their body. The term black is not correct. The term melanated is much more accurate because the more copper you have, the more melanin you'll have, and the more melanin you have, the more copper you have. Remember, copper is the #1 deficiency on the planet. Copper is responsible for thousands of different gene expressions and functions. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, look at these people, they're better than these white people. I'm just breaking down the biophysiological components of the truth here. And at the end of the day, the more copper we have, I mean, hypothetically speaking, the more I can't jump. I'm going to leave it at that. But if I train myself, eventually, 6 months to a year, I'd be able to dunk and jump. It's just a fact that people who have more melanin or who are more melanated, they actually can have a larger muscular skeletal system compared to those who are less melanated. 9 out of 10 African Americans melanated individual who joined the SEALs training ended up sinking. This is from David Goggins, the man, the myth, the legend himself. And David Goggins would actually sink, and then somehow he taught himself to swim and float or whatever. So it doesn't mean that you're excluded, but just like we have to work for certain things to be able to jump, sometimes we also have to work to be able to navigate or swim through these obstacles. We're all the same at the end of the day, but some have been given a little bit more copper and melanin than others. This is going to have positive as well as some negative benefits depending on how you look at it. So if you didn't know the difference, and remember that the term race, it doesn't really exist. Okay. The term race did not come to existence until after the 1500s. And so this is why using the term white and black, it's not very accurate at all, and using those terms can kind of feed the beast system mentality, Babylon, confusion. Because according to the Bible, we're all brothers and sisters under Adam and Eve. Just because I have this color hair doesn't mean that I couldn't come from a black or a melanated copper-dense family. Recessive traits will pop up over time, but also so will dominant traits. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you go to Haiti, you'll see there's people who kind of look like me in dark families, and they kind of look out of place. But they come from the same mommy and daddy. Everything you've been taught has pretty much been a lie. Father, forgive us, because the race has been made the race.
You know, I agree with some of it, and I don't agree with some of it, but salute to, you know, these people are being awoken. They're being awakened. And you can't fight this shit, man. It's so obvious at this point to where, you know, I remember when I was younger, I you know, the more I would learn about just American history, the more I realized how embarrassed I would be if I was like Caucasian. Like the more I learned about it, I was like, God damn, like if that was my grandfather, I would probably hate to be of the Caucasus Mountains, man. You know, what they was doing, you know what I'm saying? Like I would be so embarrassed. And it's just these people are at the point where they can't listen. It is what it is. You got to tell the truth. You gonna tell the truth. Talk some more to the people. Let my man talk. Go ahead and talk a little bit more. Look.
African Americans are not from Africa. Colored people, black people are not from Africa. We are not the same. We are the indigenous people of these lands, right? When Columbus came here, we were the people that he saw. Copper-colored people, twisted up hair, look just like me. But the thing is, a lot of people around the world are very upset of this revelation, which doesn't make sense. Because why do y'all always pick and choose when to be our enemy and when to not be our enemy? When we rapping and singing and dancing and playing basketball and football and baseball and all these other things, y'all love us. Oh my gosh, look at them. They're so great. Look at how they do it. Yeah, look at them dancing. But the moment we start speaking on how to better our people, better our communities, y'all turn against us. Y'all shut down. And that's not okay. Because one thing that I've learned in this life is all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We spend so much time blaming the natives, the Africans, the YT, this. Nah, how about we blame ourselves? Because you see, when I go outside, I'm not looking and ducking and dodging the YTs. I'm not looking and ducking and dodging the natives. I'm not looking and ducking and dodging the Africans. I'm looking and ducking and dodging my own people.
Yeah, well, see, you know, I was listening to homie, you know what I'm saying? And his eyes got this, you know, his eyes got this saucy Santana. It's like a thing. It's hard for me to explain the respect to this man right here, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Look at this. Look at his hand right here, and look at the arch around his eyes right there. And tell me you don't see a saucy Santana in that man. Look at how his shirt right here is up on his neck right here. All these things matter. Look how his shirt is cuffs his neck right here. Look at the slouch in his eyes right here. And look at the flick of the wrist right here. Yeah, look. Look at the flick of the wrist right here. Look at the slouch of his eyes right here. And look at the goddamn turtleneck up on his raising up on his neck right here, that pinch of the lip. Yeah. See how the pinch right there up on his goddamn lippers? His flippers is pinch right here. So yeah, I'm sorry, brother. You was in the kitchen. You was trying to get the cooking, but the flick of the wrist ain't flicking. I want to tell you something. It's only brothers like that talk like, oh, it's only the black man that I gotta fear. Well, when you live amongst black people, that's who you gonna have beef with. That's who you gonna have problems with. White people that live amongst white people, that's who they have beef with. That's who they kill, and that's who they have problems with. Asians amongst Asians, when they live out there in Chinatown. Yeah, it ain't no black on Asian crime out there in Chinatown. It's the Chinaman versus the Chinaman out there in Chinatown. Okay? Little Italy, you got motherfucking the Colombo mobsters and John Gotti. They shooting each other and they having a war. So, you know, when you said that, and then your eyes, the way you was cocked back with your flick of your wrist and the way you was, your mannerisms is telling me you got the saucy Santana in you. Okay, respectfully, brother. So when you a man, you already understand it's really just the environment. You know what I'm saying? It's the poverty. It's those things that make black men do what they do to black men. And then, you know, I want to let you know that it's always going to lead back to the dog fur. Because the reason these environments are in the conditions they are go right up to the higher ups and the elites. And it's probably somebody with some dog fur that's we're going to get rid of the basketball courts in those neighborhoods. We're going to make it a food desert in those neighborhoods. It was dog fur that did that. I'm gonna call you a brother, you know, respectfully, you know what I mean? But you got to understand something. Always pay attention. Look at that motherfucker. Look at the mannerisms on his face. And tell me he ain't goddamn sauced up. Yeah, him, Lil Uzi Vert, Saucy Santana, Lil Nas X, yeah. Young Thugger. Tell me he don't look like your goddamn aunt, one of your aunties or your gay cousin. He got, yeah, that nigga was talking all good. He's talking good. That nigga went from black man to gay cousin. Yeah. That nigga went from, yeah. That motherfucker, you can't hide that zest. Yeah, that zest, you can't hide it. Yeah, I mean, I rocking with you, you know what I mean? Until you did this right here. Right here, I stopped you. I stopped your video right here. And you, with this look on your face, yeah, you don't need to be talking about what's going on in the black community. Get your motherfucking ass up there to the village. We gonna send you with the village people, brother. All skin folk ain't kin for you. We got to send you with the motherfucking village people. Yeah, we gonna send you to the YMCA, brother. You don't, respectfully, I don't want no problems with you or the community. I ain't got nothing, you know, to do whatever you like to do. I don't agree with it, with what you're doing. I don't agree with what you're doing. Your lifestyle, I don't agree with it. It ain't no motherfucking grown man gonna let me tell you something. When a grown man, when your collar get up on your neck like that, nigga we ain't even gonna put that motherfucking sweater on. Yeah. Yeah, look at his collar right here. Your motherfucking collar get the hugging on your neck. No, I'm not even gonna wear this sweater. Go ahead and get this to baby sis. Baby sis, I got a sweater for you that could probably fit you. Hey, baby sis, come here. Let me holler at you. You like this sweater right here? Yeah, I picked it out, but I don't know if this is a crew neck. I'm not sure what kind of neck this is right here, but I can't wear this sweater around my neck like that. Go ahead and take it. Go ahead and take it, sis. That's all for you. All right, brother. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of there. But I didn't like your facial mannerisms, nigga. And I'm gonna get you up out of here. Let me see what else I got. I don't like that. Yeah, fuck all that, brother. Keep your goddamn opinion to yourself, nigga. Keep your goddamn opinion to yourself when we get to talking warrior talk, nigga. Now, go ahead and talk to the people, Tucker. Look!
And find out who Abram's descendants are. It's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Would you be against doing that?
I have no idea what that would prove, I mean, maybe it would be, what do you mean? What it would prove who Abram's descendants are and who has a right to live here and who doesn't, according to the theology that you yourself just explained. And so I'm very confused as to why we don't do that. If you believe the theology that you've just explained to me, would we do that all over the world? Well, this is the only country in the world that you've said has this covenant with God, that this people have a moral and legal right to the land. But there are people who may not have bloodlines, but who have converted to Judaism. Are they going to be able to live here? Are you going to kick them out? By your standards, they can't live here. No, because you just told me that they have a right to live here because God gave them the land because they're the descendants of Abram. They're the descendants of Abraham. But if they're the spiritual descendants of Abraham and they've now decided that they're converting to Judaism, then do they have a right to live in Israel? Since you began this conversation by asking me, did I think they had a right to come here? Yeah, that's what my question was. On what basis do they have the right? And you said because God granted it to them. And I also said because that there should be a land where Jews could live in peace and safety. And I asked you what a Jew was, and you couldn't answer it. You said it partly is religious, but doesn't have to be. It's partly genetic, but it doesn't have to be. And so that you can see why I'm confused. I think I was very clear. It's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Would you be against doing that? And I also said because that there should be a land where Jews could live in peace and safety. And I asked you what a Jew was, and you couldn't answer it. You said it partly is religious, but doesn't have to be. It's partly genetic, but it doesn't have to be. And so that you can see why I'm confused. I think I was very clear. Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious. But in what sense? Ancestrally, do you have his family tree? No, we don't. Do you? He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point. But so how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all? And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land. His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work? Testing on every...
Ooh, Tucker started cooking your ass. Yeah, you started cooking your ass. And see, this is where we at, right? With all this information and technology, these motherfuckers just making up anything now. Oh, you can be a spiritual connection to Abraham. Nigga, you can't. Nigga, listen, let me tell you something. You can't be a spiritual ancestor, nigga. Either you're part of the bloodline or you're not. Oh, genetic testing is illegal here in Israel. Yeah, I bet it is. Oh, yes, sir. Malika B. Mikey, I bet it is illegal because we get the genetically testing your ass. Guess what? Poland, Greenland, the Caucasus Mountains, Europe, Spain. You motherfuckers don't even... BB family ain't even from Israel. Yeah, the prime minister, president of Israel, his family from Europe and Poland and shit. He over there in Israel because he practiced Judaism. So if we okay, hold on real quick. Let me get this straight then. If I choose to practice Judaism, then I got a spiritual connection and I got to claim some of that land right there, right? I mean, I'm not really a Jewish person, but I practice. Come on, get your goddamn dog. See what started happening? Oh. And I'm not going to lie. Tucker was getting to start cooking your ass. Because y'all saying y'all got a biblical right to this land, and half of you motherfuckers, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to step on a limb and say all you motherfuckers ain't none of y'all supposed to be out there. All of you motherfuckers is foreign immigrants out there in Israel talking about Judah. Get your motherfucking ass. Hey, it's over, bruh. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. Get your goddamn, I put a boot in your ass. We gonna start, I told you, we gonna need to start doing something, you people, man. Yeah, the synagogue of Satan could put a boot in your ass and kick you up out this land, brother. I don't know about the Palestinian people or whoever else over there. We need to goddamn do a DNA check on all you motherfuckers, everybody. Everybody need to put your arm out so we can get some of your motherfucking blood and DNA, and we can take some of that dog fur and we could put it under the microscope and figure out what caucus of the mountains that you came from. But your ass ain't supposed to be over there. Yeah, motherfucker he got a whole suit and tie. Man asking them valid questions. Well, just explain to me, what's a Jew? That's a religion. Nigga, that is a Jewish religion. That is a religion. You said that the Jews got right to the land. Well, what about when we find out your ass ain't got the Jew in you? Your ass wherever you supposed to be from, you ain't from there. Oh, now it's a spiritual connection. And I told y'all they always say, people of Israel, the Jews should be able to live. Nah, that's why Hitler. And let me tell you something. I don't want to get too deep and crazy. That's why Hilfiger was booting your ass. I'm gonna call him Hilfiger. I'm gonna call him Hilfiger. You know what I'm talking about. With them gas chambers and all of that. Cooking your motherfucking ass, putting your ass, yeah. Slow roasting your ass with honey baked. Yeah, they was like some honey goddamn glazed turkey. It was cooking your motherfucking ass up for this very activity what you got going on over here. Yeah, I'm gonna call them Hilfiger. Y'all, yeah, fuck it. I know they watching. I'm Hilfiger. Hilfiger was putting your ass in the oven and cooking honey glazing your ass up. Now you got a motherfucking white man on your ass. It ain't even me. Tucker Carlson is on your ass. Talk to the people, Tucker. Look.
Everybody in the land and find out who Abram's descendants are. It's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Would you be against doing that?
I have no idea what that would prove. I mean, maybe it would be.
What do you mean? It would prove who Abram's descendants are and who has a right to live here and who doesn't, according to the theology that you yourself just explained. And so I'm very confused as to why we don't do that. If you believe the theology that you've just explained to me, would we do that all over the world? Well,
now I want to stop him right there. That's always a guy that always beware when a motherfucker get deflected. Oh, well, we do that all. No, we not talking about all over the world. We talking about right here in Israel, where you saying that the people is the descendants of Abraham. Well, we got we got ancestry.com for your ass. Do you know about ancestry.com? Huh? Oh, yeah. You know ancestry.com that tell all us indigenous black foundational black Americans that we 95% Nigerian, and yeah, you know it always send us back to Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. All of us is from over there. Yeah, we gonna put your ass in the ancestry.com. Motherfuckers sent the DNA of a lizard. The goddamn lizard was from Ghana. They sent the DNA, the spit of a lizard. It's on YouTube. To ancestry.com said your ass was from Nigeria, 95%. I don't know what it would prove. It would prove where your white ass is. You a white man, brother. You listen to me. You white. You're European. You are European. Why is we still sitting here acting as if you are not a white man? I don't know what it would prove. It would prove that your ass ain't from Israel. Nigga. Too goddamn hot over there for your crack ass. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It's too hot for your dog fur having ass to be over there. Yeah. I was going to call you a rich cracker. I like rich crackers. Rich crackers is good to me. I like a little bit of salt on top of my Ritz crackers, nigga. Yeah, I do. That's what the DNA test is gonna prove. That your motherfucking ass ain't supposed to be over there. Go ahead and talk to the people. Look.
This is the only country in the world that you've said has this covenant with God, that this people have a moral and legal right to the land.
But there are people who may not have bloodlines, but who have converted to Judaism. Are they going to be able to live here? Are you going to kick them out by your...
Goddamn, you listen to me. You see how the word semantics? Oh, but there's people that might not have a blood connection to Abraham, but they're spiritual brothers. Hey, hold on, homie. Hold on, homie. Hold on. So all you got to do is be converted to Judaism, and now we can get over there. We can figure out what plot of land that we need to have because we done been converted. Yeah, you motherfucker. I think it's about time. I think it's about that time. Why is you and then motherfucker sit right in your face, man, right there in your face, and I probably would have wanted to do something to you if I was Tucker Carlson. The way you playing with me, you know what I mean? You insulting my intelligence, motherfucker. Don't play with me, man. We here to have an educated conversation. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about spiritual connections, nigga. Yeah, wait. I might have did something. Salute to Tucker Carlson for holding his composure with you. Go ahead and talk to the people. Look.
This is the only country in the world that you've said has this covenant with God, that this people have a moral and legal right to the land.
But there are people who may not have bloodlines, but who have converted to Judaism. Are they going to be able to live here? Are you going to kick them out?
By your standards, they can't live here.
No,
because
I've
you just
never
told
said
me
no.
they have a right to live here because God gave them the land because they're the descendants of Abram.
They're the descendants of Abraham. But if they're the spiritual descendants of Abraham and they've now decided that they're converting to Judaism, then do they have a right to live in Israel?
Since you began this conversation by asking me, did I think they had a right to come here?
Yeah, that's
and
what
my question was, on what basis do they have the right?
Yeah.
And you said because God granted it to them.
And I also said because that there should be a land where Jews could live in peace and safety.
And I asked you what a Jew was, and you couldn't answer it. You said it partly is religious, but doesn't have to be. It's partly genetic, but it doesn't have to be. And so that you can see why I'm.
I think I was very clear.
Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
Ancestrally,
do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
so how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land,
his ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
it would be fine if they took it all.
They can take it all. Let me just say this. The state of Israel is the greatest existential threat to global security. And Zionists and the state of Israel are the most dangerous threat to our lives, liberties, and livelihoods. White European Jews are in no way genetically connected to Abraham or to any land in the Middle East. We know it. They know we know it. And that's why Israel has banned any DNA testing on this issue. Why?
Now, I hate to say this. But I don't mind being the bearer of bad news. I don't mind. And Adolf Hilfiger, right? Adolf Hilfiger told us and he warned us about exactly what's going on in present day. Mr. Hilfiger, Adolf Hilfiger, he had a whole situation, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. They villainized Mr. Hilfiger. And when I was growing up, I again, man, I always been knowledgeable, and I always said to myself, like, damn, like they are really making this man a villain. They want us to hate Mr. Adolf Hilfiger. You understand what I'm saying? And only again until this technology where we were able to like realize what he was saying. Why was he putting your ass in that oven and butter glazing you down and hitting your ass with the honey glaze? Yeah, why was he doing that? He was doing that because of this right here. Everything that's going on with the higher ups and the elites in America, Israel, you know, these European Jew people were kicked out of like 180 countries, some wild shit. Yeah, they was kicked out of goddamn 100 countries, was banning their asses. When they was coming into these countries and then they was running up in their houses and they was finding these books with the Rainbow Coalition, the Saucy Santana activity, and they was doing, they was, they was being kicked out these countries for exactly what's going on. And they have been going into different lands and taking what they can. And they were able to get in America and plant roots in America. You know, I I hate to say history is just revealing so much that when you could think and you could say, man, I hate to say this, but Mr. Adolf Hilfiger he was on to something. He was on to something. He wasn't as bad as they made him out to be. You know what I mean? And if I knew what he knew, I would have got the cooking your ass too. I would have got the baking your ass up too. Making goddamn fish patties out your ass. Yeah, dog fur patties out your ass behind what y'all got going on. Behind what y'all done did. Yeah. It would have been McDonald's before McDonald's. We would have sold goddamn 9 billion patties on your ass. Yeah, everybody. Everybody ass got to get put on the patty. We gonna bun your ass up and put some. Yeah, everybody. We gonna ship these patties to everybody. I don't think Adolf Hilfiger was wrong. I think he did I believe he did the right thing. And because we have allowed, now you motherfuckers is talking about the Bible, man. You motherfuckers. Yeah, I called him Adolf Hilfiger. I like that name better. I think that name, so you know what? Fuck it. I think that name sound a little bit better. Hold on real quick. That name sounds so good. I almost forgot his I almost forgot his name. Yeah, Adolf Hilfiger. You know what I mean? Like Tommy Hilfiger. I like that. Yeah, I almost forgot what his motherfucking name was. Hold on. Watch this. I want to play something for you. I'll go ahead and play something for you, man. I wanna play something to see if I can get this played. Let's listen to Adolf Hilfiger. Let's give him an open ear because, again, they fed us so much. They fed us so much BS over the years that it's refreshing. I mean, and again, it's things about him I don't agree with. He was getting high. He was doing his own little thing over there. But what he said allegedly about these people. Go ahead and talk to the people, man. Look.
Translate like Hitler's speech. They've got Hitler's speeches that Hitler gave in German. And you get to see it in English. And you're like, oh.
Hold on.
That I have worked, that I have advocated for you in these years. I have spent my time in service of my people. Now cast your vote, if yes, and stand up for me as I have stood up for you.
When you
hold on real quick. That's not the receipt, but he was getting high. I think he was getting high in them videos right there. You could tell he was shooting up. Hold on real quick. Yeah. What was his name? Adolf Hilfiger. Yeah. Yes, Adolf. Hold on. We're baking pie. You was baking bean pies over there. You was baking them motherfuckers in the bean pies over there.
Unique, devoid of the talent. So I've spent hundreds of hours studying Adolf. This was Hitler. He had a rhythm, but this is how he speaks. He's got a rhythm. It's hard and hard. The words don't carry, and that's why people.
Yeah, I don't think it was one I seen. It was a minute ago, but it was a good one, man. He was talking about them people, and he was talking about what he was gonna do to their ass, and it was in English. And I remember when I heard it for the first time, and I was like, "Damn, yo, he was right, bruh. He was right, man. Respectfully, man. Hilfiger was right." Yeah, big salute to the chat, man. I gotta tread lightly, man. I'm trying to tread lightly. I don't want to go too crazy. Let's look at one of these receipts right here.
Ben Shapiro, who at one point had this like media empire, the Daily Wire. But Ben Shapiro spent, I don't know, a decade posing as someone who actually cared about your concerns as an American. He did it imperfectly. There were flashes that he didn't really care. But he's like, no, I'm a conservative. I'm not just interested in the fortunes of one tiny country in the Middle East with a population of 9 million. No, I have a lot of interests. I really care about this country. That veil has dropped, and you can see what Ben Shapiro really, really cares about. But is he really a guy who cares about GDP or economic activity or some people getting rich more than he cares about the lives of his fellow Americans? Could this be a guy who really only cares about a foreign country? There was Ben Shapiro saying, I'd be willing to vote for Bibi Netanyahu for president of the United States if only it were constitutionally allowed. Huh? You want some foreigner to run our country? The guy who is killing tens of thousands of.
All right, let me get up out of here. Let's lighten the load real quick. Big salute to the chat. Oh, people's on me. They on me. Oh, let's segue into this, and then I might double back tonight. Do I want to do that? I think I do. Right, I think I do. You know what? Let's lighten the load up. I don't want no smoke, YouTube. I don't want no smoke with you. I don't got a problem with you. Let's talk about Rick Ross a little. Let's talk about
Spokesman, man, we back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV.
UPTV. Stay on your pivot at all times. That's the whole big deal. It's gonna be urban politicians. Salute the urban politicians. UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. I like that. Shit getting real, baby. Yo, we gonna double back. We're gonna double back around about 11:30, man. It's a beautiful Friday night. We gonna lighten the load, man. And we gonna make sure that we keep this thing the way that we gonna keep the main thing. You know what I mean? That's one thing I gotta do over here on YouTube. Keep the main thing. I'm surprised the last joint that I did, the 50 Cent joint, I'm surprised that ain't go, I'm surprised that they ain't mess with that because of all the, the glizzies that 50 was holding. I had the glizzies and all that all in the joint that 50 was holding, you know what I'm saying? And I thought they was gonna play with that, but they didn't. So they left that joint green, which inspired me to go a little bit harder today. Respectfully, it inspired me to go a little bit harder today. Brother, stay watching. Yeah, for real, 100%. Charlie P, 100%. Make sure you hit the like button and all that. Hit the subscribe button, man. We have 58,000 right now. We approaching 60, man, 60K. I'm hype about that. I mean, 40,000 away from that 100,000 mark. You know what I'm saying? 40K. We closer to the 100,000 than we are away from the 100,000. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. I got to have that plaque right there. Yeah, I'ma pay for it. I don't know what they do when you get 100,000. I think you got to send them a couple of dollars and all of that. And I'm gonna put that one right there. Yeah. Oh, I ain't bullshitting with you. All right. So, big salute to the chat. You already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now, listen, man. You can tap in or you can tap out, but you know my slogan. You know what I suggest. And I suggest you tap in. Listen. I suggest you tap into this Grown Man Business. I suggest you tap into this Grown Man content at all times. You already know what it is. Straight off the bricks into the bottles. Straight off the brick into the bottles. Straight, raw, pure, uncut, no extras, no preservatives. We're not going to sugarcoat nothing. We're not going to dress nothing up. I'm going to give you this game straight, raw, pure dope. Right off the brick into the bottles. No fentanyl, no baking soda, and no quinine. We ain't water whipping this dope, and we ain't counter whipping this dope. The dope is going to be pure. Always remember, when you come to Grown Man Business TV, the content is not going to be stepped on. The content is not going to be watered down. The content is not going to be sugar-coated. We might be one of the only channels on YouTube where the content is not fluffy. It's not going to be fluffed up. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we take pride in that over here at GMB TV. So we're going to double back tonight for sure. And who knows, man, we might be talking about 50. We might be talking, I might have to do some due diligence to see what's in the algorithm. But we're going to lighten the load, man. We're going to talk and we're going to bait the algorithm. So it's going to be some comedy hour. So y'all just prepare yourself. Y'all know, it's going to be funny. We go, something going to happen. We going to joke, we going to laugh, and we going to get into, what it is. We're going to keep the main thing, all right? So you already know, man, what time it is. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now, listen, man. You can tap in or you can tap out, but you know my slogan. You know what I suggest. And I suggest you tap in.